Oh, yes. Happy Lonely Friday, everybody. Happy loneliest night of the week. The loneliest name in late night, the loneliest show on the internet. Welcome to Sam Roberts Now. I'm so glad you're all here. I'm so glad you're all still with us. We've all made it another week. This is going to be great. Get those super chats in. Hit like on the video. Hit subscribe. Turn the bell on. Oh, my God. And guess who's back? After surviving heart surgery in through the groin and out through the monitor behind me, Hot Dog is here. Welcome, Hot Dog.
Thank you for that nice little detail. Yes, through the groin.
Up through the groin.
Right. Make sure that everyone knows that.
I said last week, I said, Hot Dog, you doing the show tonight? He said, nope. I said, problems with the heart, and he said, nope, I got to let the taint recover. And I said, okay, you rest your...
My taint hurts.
Yeah, I said, buddy, rest your taint, buddy, and we'll get back to it next week. So welcome back. Everything's good, though? Your taint's okay?
Taint's okay. You know, it took a couple days to heal up. I just can't lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk.
Oh, yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that sucker opening back up.
Yeah.
You don't want that taint opening back up. That's where, I mean, it's literally where it's that seam where everything stays inside. You know, you lose the taint and everything, it's gravity. You can't have it.
I mean, it's 2021, Sam. I have my reservations about this being the only way of fixing my heart.
They're like, we figured out decades ago we could go in through the taint, and we were like, no, we never even thought about doing it any other way. That just sounds like the best.
Yeah.
No, we just like this. Yeah, okay, all right.
It's better than open heart, sure, but you know, I would just think that we would have made improvements by now.
Like, do I want you to crack my chest open? No, but at the same time, you know, I feel like from groin to heart is a long way away. I don't want you poking around at my groin anyway. You know, it just seems like more could go wrong. But you're the doctor, I guess. You know,
especially if you're gonna, you know, kind of drill and needle your way in there without any any numbing cream or any of that.
No numbing at all? Some numbing.
There was some numbing cream applied. Did I feel that it was numbed adequately? No.
You have a sensitive taint, though. That they didn't realize how sensitive your taint was.
Yes,
I see.
And it was like a blender that was just going in there, just my groin.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I felt it. Yep, it was bad.
Oh gosh, well.
But I came out the other side a new man. You know, I have a new lease on life, and I haven't showered. I
can't shower.
I could. No, I just
don't want to. Yeah. Haven't sweat so much, so you know what can I tell you? Well, wow, I'm glad that you're back. You know, I think already I can tell you that we're gonna need to do another Sam Roberts Now. Maybe we're gonna join you again on Thanksgiving Eve, because there's so much to talk about. Of course, Tiger King 2 came out a couple of days ago. I have not had a chance to dive in. I feel like people are kind of slowly diving in, but that might be something over the next week that people look at. Of course, the big Jim Norton, Sam Roberts cameo that was in there. It was pointed out to me right away, so I appreciate all that. I wasn't going to see the new Ghostbusters movie. I mean, eventually I would see it, but, you know, I just don't feel a need to. But there's a thing in the credits that says, thank you to Jim Norton and Sam Roberts from SiriusXM for the photo. And I swear to God, I mean, so many people, because God bless a post-credit scene. They're making it so that everybody sits through the credits. So everybody that sees the movie with any kind of spirit for Ghostbusters, they're all seeing it. Nobody's leaving the theater because they want that post-credit scene. And then a thing comes up that says, "Thank you, Jim Norton and Sam Roberts, for this photo on SiriusXM." Nobody associated with me or the show or anything has a clue what they're talking about. I have not met anybody that even has a hint after seeing the movie of what it could be. I will tell you that nobody associated with the show has any idea. I mean, none of us knew we were in Tiger King 2 either. So I don't know how people get permission to use stuff from Sirius, but it should be
an alert. It's disrespectful.
Yeah. I'm getting tweets once it's out. "Hey, bro, good job." I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, so nobody has any clue what the photo is that we get thanked for in the credits. But still, I'm in the credits of Ghostbusters, so that's good.
We're gonna have to go frame by frame and just figure out. Maybe it's like somewhere in the background, like obscure, just like boom.
Maybe. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. So we've got a lot to break down, and I also want to break down. Sylvester Stallone did a re-edit of Rocky IV. Did you see this?
Mm-mm.
Yes, he did a re-edit of Rocky IV. It's got like 40 minutes of new footage. It's a whole new thing. I kind of want to do a compare and contrast. There's so much I want to do, but at the same time, there's so much conflict that we have to get into tonight. There's a lot of conflict that we have to break down tonight to really figure it out, to get to the bottom of. So that's what we're going to be doing. The only rule here on Sam Roberts Now is that we'll read every super chat. So if you want to be included in the conversation, every now and then I might glance over and see, this is what I mean. OG Hustle Hawaii just writes chocolate rain. I understand that Hot Dog does look like early 2010s era YouTube star Tay Zonday. He does, but
I move away from the mic to breathe.
But that's the type of comment that somebody's just going to leave in the chat. Maybe you're never going to see it. If you need that to be on the air, super chat it in. We'll get to it eventually here tonight on the show. But I think, where we'll start, and we're really just going to touch on this, because we did a bunch about it last week, and that was when, there was a lot to make fun of about it. But we did get the verdict in the Rittenhouse trial. And while we're talking about conflict, I would say that definitely fits into the topic. That's kind of what the nation at large is conflicted about. Although I do feel like this one, there's a lot more people that are pretending to follow the case than are actually following the case. I feel like with OJ and stuff like that, for the most part, people really did know every detail. I feel like with the Rittenhouse trial, it's like just people, it's memes again. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, there's some people that know a lot, but a lot of the general consensus, I don't think comes from really digging in as much as it is taking a surface level. For instance, here on the show, I do have to make a correction from last week. I said that Kyle Rittenhouse crossed state lines with a gun. He didn't, that was like the initial report, but he didn't, his gun was in Kenosha, it was there, or in Wisconsin. He came from Illinois, but he didn't bring the gun with him. He got the gun was stored in the state, right? So that's a correction.
Fake news, Sammy.
And right? Anybody that's watching this for news is like, what are you doing? We spent most of our Rittenhouse coverage making fun of the judge for not knowing that you could just save a text message. That's kind of where we're focused at here on the show. But I did notice that when the not guilty verdict came down,
woo!
Were you celebrating?
Celebrate all the winners.
Oh.
I'm just happy.
I got you. You're just happy. Well, yeah, you're happy because you've seen the worst. You've seen people go through your taint to get to your heart. And now it's like everything's a celebration. I understand. No, but we spent a little bit of time last week looking at him crying on the stand, and how, my takeaway from it was that while it was not pure performance, acting is a skill. People can't just become actors. I do think that I could tell there was a moment where I think that he kind of felt it coming up to his throat, and instead of swallowing it back down, he let it come out, one of those things. But then I saw...
Emotions could be real. It could start, and then you can kind of use it to, manipulate others. There's nothing wrong with that.
Then look at MAGA Dog over there. Then I saw then I saw his reaction when they said not guilty. And he had a cry similar to the cry that he did on the stand. And I was like, maybe this is just a very dramatic kid. Maybe this is just a guy who's really in his feelings, you know? I don't know. But yeah, so he was found not guilty, and that self-defense was the cause of everything. And I mean, look, I think that I don't like that he's now, like, he is going to be a symbol of everything that you want it to be. Like that word woke. The word woke becomes a symbol and is molded to whatever anybody needs it to be for their kind of political or otherwise interest. And that's pro and against. I feel like Kyle Rittenhouse becomes now one of those symbols where it's like, where do you stand on him? Exactly how do you feel? And if you feel this way, it means that. And if you feel that way, it means this. And you're like, he's not the devil, and he's not a hero. You know what I mean?
You're just like, I don't know.
Like,
where do you stand on this? I don't know.
I mean, is that so bad, right? Can't we all be idiots? Yeah. But it's one of those things too, where it's like, should he have shown up? I was talking about this last week. Like, should people show up with a gun when they're not cops? No. Like, if you're 17 and you're Kyle Rittenhouse, you don't need to be the world's police if you're not actually the police. At the same time, can you act in self-defense even in a scenario like that? Yes, of course you can. It takes a very complicated issue and turns it into something very general and sort of, just covering the basics for it. It's not, it's dumb. And you mold things that people just are so emotional about for them to fit whatever you want them to fit. And it's like, guys, what are we seriously doing here? What are we really doing here?
Yeah, I had a friend of mine over the phone. He was trying to bait me into like, 'cause he's kind of like very pro like Rittenhouse, and I bet you he's gonna be found not guilty tomorrow. I bet you $20. And he's just trying to bait me, And I went, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm not picking sides.
Did you
know
watch
anything about this case?
Yeah, you don't know anything. But
No.
See, some people that won't stop them though. Some people, like, I actually can respect that, hot dog. Some people would be like, well, you're a coward for not taking a side. It's like, well, if I'm admitting ignorance, if I'm sitting here and admitting ignorance to you, wouldn't it be less responsible to take a side? No. I want to know which side you're on. Are you Rittenhouse MAGA, fuck Joe Biden guy, or what's it, let's go Brandon, or are you I love human beings? Which side? You're like, I don't know. This is too, I didn't realize I was just trying to, and you said I was just going to come for dinner. I just wanted to get some food.
This isn't policy or anything like that. Is this case going to affect your life in any way at all?
Mine?
No. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about Cal. If he's free or in jail or whatever.
I'll tell you.
It's not going to affect you at all.
I'll tell you the conflict that I'm far more interested in right now, in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Dillon versus Michael Che.
Now that will affect you.
Yes, Tim Dillon versus Michael Che. I'm assuming that you're like me, that you did go through all the evidence of this case, that you did kind of root through. I know I did all the posts and this was a cross-platform battle between, let's be honest, one of the top dogs in new media comedy and one of the top dogs in legacy media comedy, right? I was going to say corporate media comedy, but legacy media comedy. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, right? And it all starts right here. It all starts with this tweet from Tim Dillon that says there were 100 ways to do this sketch and have it be funny. The show now is just lazy, mediocre hacks. Now, we will watch the sketch. Before we watch the sketch, a minute of it, just to, put it into context. But I do think that it is a little, I don't know, it's becoming such a thing for, like, comedians to be like, oh, like once people know they're not going to be on SNL, to come forward and be like, SNL sucks now, man. SNL sucks now. And it's like, I mean, yeah, but I mean,
SNL's always sucked.
Even at SNL's best, it kind of sucked. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like there's always been good sketches, but it's always kind of sucked. And it does, like, I think that the separation between like internet and traditional media is just becoming greater and greater. And it feels like traditional media is not acknowledging or wrapping their head around what's going on the internet as well as they should. They're still treating the internet like it's this small minority population as opposed to the world at large. So there is that disconnect that is going to possibly make you come across like you suck worse than you do. But, you know, I mean, yeah, it's always kind of sucked. But this
there's one funny bit per episode.
Like, I'm not going to hear
an hour, 90 minutes.
I'm not going to hear any sort of talk about Kyle Mooney sucking. Kyle Mooney's the greatest. I love all the stuff Kyle Mooney does is fantastic. He's doing cuck sketches on SNL. It's hilarious. But yes,
there's one good bit.
Well, yeah, like one. And it's never a political bit. It's never a topical bit. It's always just like the weird, you know, evergreen thing that comes on at like
the SNL
12:30 or something. Yeah, or the SNL digital thing or something like that. Something that you're going to be able to watch 6 months from now, and it's still going to be funny. It's just because that's what it should be. Because it's just a joke thing. It's not like, you know, because it is, but it's always kind of been that way. When they do a political thing, like it's never unpredictable where SNL is going to come from with their political humor. And I mean, usually the Weekend Update jokes, to be fair to Michael Che, some of them are funny. Like the Weekend Update, especially with Che and Jost, are jokes. Like it's comics writing jokes on the Weekend Update portion of the show.
I love when they have to write each other's jokes.
It's great. It's hilarious every time. Great. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's still funny. It was funny. What do they do it at the end of every season? It was funny at the end of last season. It'll be funny at the end of this season. But then I was gonna say Dim Dillon, but then to Tim Dillon's credit, this sketch that he specifically was pointing out was, I mean, everything he described it as. It's
not good.
Really stupid and dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a little bit of it.
Sounds correct.
So that's Ted Cruz. I don't have any problem with the Ted Cruz impression. She always does Ted Cruz.
Let's ask our resident medical expert, Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Well, that's right. I used to host Fear Factor, and now doctors fear me.
Okay, like, it's maybe the worst impression of anyone I've ever seen. And I don't understand, like, they're acting like their audience wouldn't know who Joe Rogan is. Like, there is still this thing, and that's what I mean about the disconnect between internet and, like, old media, is that they're acting like Joe Rogan's show doesn't have more eyes and ears on it than anything that's on television. Like, the SNL or anything on network television is more influential than Joe Rogan's show. And it's not. They just don't have the eyes and the ears on them anymore. And so, and like Pete Davidson, especially, like Pete Davidson knows that that's not what Joe Rogan doesn't look like that. Joe Rogan doesn't sound like that. Joe Rogan doesn't even wear shirts like that. Like that's what Joe Rogan wears on like as a UFC commentator.
UFC.
Yeah, everybody knows that. But he wears a t-shirt when he podcasts. Joe Rogan, like the whole joke about Joe Rogan is that he's short. That people make fun of him for being short. If Pete Davidson had come out like walking on his knees with shoes strapped to his knees so it looked like he had these tiny little legs, it would have been like, that's hilarious. They're making fun of him because he's short. But they didn't do that. And then if they had like, if Pete Davidson had come out and kind of spoken like Joe Rogan or brought up like apes having sex with each other or DMT. You ever tried DMT? Like, you know, the things that people make fun of Joe Rogan for? Yeah. then it would have been like, oh, okay, there's actually like a brain put into this whatsoever. But it's literally
pulled out the Carlos Mencia from 15 years ago.
That's what they did, or that's what they could have done.
I said they pulled that out from 15 years ago.
Right. And it's like, guys, like, and it's even worse, by the way, if you have an entire writer's room at SNL that has no idea what Joe Rogan's doing, then you've got an entire writer's room of people that are not following what's going on in the world. Like, not everybody has to listen to every minute that Joe Rogan does, but you at least have to have an awareness of it if you're going to be on a show that's making fun of current culture.
Can you help me, Joe?
Oh, sure thing, Big Bird. You see, I took Carlos Mencia down. I could take COVID.
That's okay. That's what you were saying, Hot Dog. You brought up the Carlos Mencia thing. And that's what, like, it got a titter of a laugh. You know why? Nobody even remembers who Carlos Mencia is, let alone that Joe Rogan took him down. Like, who are you targeting? Who associates that anymore? Who even thinks of it?
Yeah, that was a reach.
Here's some.
They were like, you guys know who Carlos Mencia is, but you might not know the guy who took him down. His name is Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
This is our impression of him.
The Fear Factor guy? Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, what? Who says? When was the last time somebody was like, Joe Rogan, the Fear Factor guy? Apparently, he's got a podcast now. Like, SNL should have been. I like that they at least acknowledged Joe. Like, but SNL should be doing Joe Rogan sketches like every week. You know what I mean? Like, that's the show they should be making. Like, instead of Jeopardy. You know what I mean? Like, instead of doing the same thing that they just do all the time. Well, let's see how what else they do here.
Ayahuasca and horse medicine.
Horse.
Why would a bird take horse medicine?
I'm a human, and I took horse medicine. And I'm speaking of things that are horse-like. Today's two sponsors are the letters S and D, as in I can S my own D.
I mean,
Isn't this for kids?
No one under 65 watches.
I'm almost 30.
yeah, I guess
Thanks,
that's
Joe Rogan. But S&D.
that's like where I mean, they were trying to be topical and timely, I guess, but it's like it really is. And then like I take horse medicine, blah blah blah. It's like it's the that would be like writing jokes about Joe Rogan if you only watch Don Lemon's show. You know what I mean? Like that's like if you're 65-year-old parents were not even 65, 70-year-old parents were writing jokes about Joe Rogan. Like that's the extent of information that they would have. Like it just came across to me as so crazy, almost strangely out of touch. And like, what are you shoehorning?
Yeah, that wasn't
this in
even
for?
that wasn't even a joke. That's where you start a joke. Like, oh, how can we make a joke about him doing this?
And I don't even care. Like clearly he didn't take horse medicine. Like this is the other thing people forget. He's extremely rich. He's got so much money. Like we were talking about that with the Aaron Rodgers thing. Like if you want, we could talk about the fact that people like Joe Rogan and Aaron Rodgers talk about, treatments for COVID as if we could all afford all like the vitamins and private physicians and IVs and all these other treatments that they get. But to act like the treatments themselves are not, of course the treatments are good. They're spending millions of dollars on the treatments. Like the treatments are definitely good. But even that's okay. Like jokes don't have to be true. Like this doesn't have to be factual. It just has to be funny and or creative. But it doesn't hit on any of those levels.
That was neither.
None.
That was cringing and embarrassing.
It was cringe. So, yeah. So then Tim Dillon continues on. This is a tweet thread. Because I guess I'm assuming for Tim, it was one of those things where he saw this sketch and it was like, this is everything. Like, this is everything that we criticize. You know what I mean? Like, this is this illustrates everything that I've been saying, and I get it. Tim Dillon says, people saying SNL hasn't been funny since the 70s are wrong. Farley, Rock, Sandler, Myers, Norm, Sherry O'Terry, Molly Shannon, they were brilliant. Tracy Morgan. Also, the Hader McKinnon era was funny. It's maybe the single greatest U.S. comedy platform, but this sketch was bad. I mean, none of those people all those people that he mentioned are funny, and the sketch was bad. Tough for me to find any holes in that tweet. and then he writes,
checking.
Yeah, I'm fact checking the tweet right now, and it looks like, yep, that passes. That passes the fact check. And then he writes, and not bad because of made fun of Joe or ivermectin, but it did it in the laziest way possible. Okay, yeah. It was talking points and not jokes. Comedy shows can have a point of view. Mine does, but it should also occasionally have comedy. Yeah, I mean, the goal, I think, should be to get somebody who doesn't agree with your point to laugh at that point. Because funny is undeniable. Like, that should be the point. If you're going to be a comedian and get this across, it should be like, oh my God, like, I don't agree with this person, but he's making me laugh, so I guess I'm going to go with it. But, like, the only way you could possibly laugh at that is if you, like, I don't know, like, just sit there watching the news going, like, did he really say that? I can't believe. But Michael Shea, he posts on his IG stories, LOL, you got to be kidding me. Tim Dillon, what's the world coming to? Now, when you talk about egos, there is a thing, because, like, Michael Che is a real comedian. Colin Jost is a real comedian. Like, these are, like, they're the head writers of SNL, like, but they are real joke writers. They're real comedians. They're real stand-ups. So I would imagine that if you are a real stand-up and you keep hearing every week how SNL sucks and it's the worst thing ever and it's garbage, and you're the head writer of the show right now, it on some level it's got to hurt. Then he writes, go ahead.
But you got to also admit when a sketch is bad.
Great point, Hot Dog. You got to know. And there's no way that that part of that sketch that we just played here, there's no way Che could defend that. And he knows that.
Just that clip.
That clip, he knows that. I'm not even, the Ted Cruz thing is fine. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I didn't watch the whole sketch. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not sitting here watching that whole sketch. I watched the part.
Is there any context of that sketch that's missing that you think would have made that clip for me?
No. Unless it was like somebody pops up at the beginning of the sketch and he goes, here's a parody of why SNL is bad. Like, then it'd be like, oh, that's really funny. Like, because they would do something like that. But then they actually did. And it's like, okay, it's not a parody. And then Che wrote on his Instagram stories, Tim Dillon? Tim fucking Dillon? And I do like when Che does this. He screen grabs his DMs and he responds to his DMs on his IG stories. Somebody responded, 190,000 a month on Patreon. Which, by the way, like, I get that it holds more weight that you bring that up, because if you make that kind of money on Patreon, that's the audience talking. That's not corporate America talking. That's not a company talking. That's the audience talking directly, saying we want to put our money behind this person. But at the same time, I never think it's a good argument to just announce your salary or how much money you're making or the venue that you played or whatever. Like, you know, when you just start talking about numbers, it's like that's not a real argument. But
it's not the conversation to be had.
It's not the conversation. It doesn't, it doesn't make it suck any more or less. Che could be making $15 million. I don't know what he's making on SNL. He's probably not making $15 million. But he could, let's say he was making $15 million as the head writer on SNL. It doesn't make his jokes any more or less funny than if he were making $2 million. He's probably not even making $2 million, to be honest. But he says, Che responded to this DM. He says, I don't care if it's a zillion. I know Tim Dillon, and he ain't what you think he is. He's a sweet, humble guy who really tried at stand-up, got nowhere, became a media personality because it's much easier, and we're all very happy for him. But don't get fresh, Tim. I'm here to tell you.
Shots fired.
I'm here to tell you, Che. I hope you're not serious about that, because I have not found being a media personality to be as easy as you might think it is.
Oh, he just cashed in and became a media personality.
Yeah, it's actually. I'm looking at the audience numbers here. It's actually not quite as easy as you might think it is, Che. But he went on. Oh yes, okay. So he sent that out on his Instagram, and that Instagram screenshot was able to travel back over to Twitterland and go to Tim Dillon. And Tim Dillon screenshotted it, and he wrote, "Here's the reality." And I'm like, it's about time we got the reality. I sell more tickets than Michael Che ever has. Boom. Shots fired right back. And then he says, I don't think he's allowed to use this website per his job. And it's like, oh, shit. Now he's hitting him hard, because that's basically him being like, you're a stooge. You're a corporate shill. Yeah. Yeah. He says, and I've built something on my own that he could never do. Che has done well for a drunk who can barely read, but his show sucks and he knows it.
Okay, all right. Well, that part wasn't necessary.
Well, he's reminding everybody he's a comedian. He's going to throw some jokes in. It's going to make you laugh, and it made me laugh. And then Che responds, all fair points, and I'm very proud of Tim. I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble. Michael Che is my favorite Michael Che. I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble. By the way, a couple things going on here. Like, when this was happening, I don't think it's it was the middle of the day, so maybe not. Oh, 6 hours. Look, I'm just saying, like, the idea that there could have been alcohol involved in this exchange is not crazy, right?
At some point of the exchange, which, it was hours and hours, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Back and forth. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Che gets some DMs that says he's selling out theaters on tour right now, though. I'm a fan of both of yours, mind you. It's him and Sam Talent doing a theater tour. He just sold out the Beacon, Michael Che says. Nice. And we're all very proud of him. And I don't want no trouble. But in the words of Prodigy, and then my next, because I had to try to capture, these things get deleted, so we got to capture them, He says, LOL, the last time I saw Tim Dillon was about 3 years ago, and he was so nice and complimentary, and I told him I was very proud of him, and I still am. I'm not going to say nothing to Tim that I wouldn't tell him in person. He's a sweet guy. Ask anyone that knows him. Oh, yeah. And then Michael Che. Tim Dillon could not have written this. Michael Che wrote, half these N-words are just cosplaying old Opie and Anthony episodes, shout out, and somehow turn that into a job. I mean, Opie and Anthony turned cosplaying Opie and Anthony into a job. I don't see why somebody else couldn't. And then he says, and good for them, I don't want no trouble. And that's kind of where we left it. And look, I mean, do we really think that it's a coincidence? I've been made fun of by comedy fans, quote unquote, for watching professional wrestling. You know what watching professional wrestling allows me to do? Be entertained when something like this happens, instead of being worked when something like this happens. Okay? Was there a conversation between Tim Dillon and Michael Che where they said, here's the plan and here's what we're going to do? No, I'm quite sure that was not the case. However, did Michael Che see that tweet and somewhere in his extremely intelligent brain say to himself, I've got a Netflix special that comes out on Tuesday. Maybe it's time to get into the news cycle. Maybe it's time to get some people talking. Maybe now would be a good time to do this. Because ever since Tiger King 2 came out, Michael Che has been all quiet on the Western Front. However,
you don't want the trouble.
He don't want no trouble. That is a good point, Hot Dog. But as this was building up to his special, there was a lot of talking. Lots of words going back and forth. Look, I think Michael Che and Tim Dillon are both very talented performers. And I think that sometimes talented performers perform.
But somebody got to hold that L, Sam. So
who's holding the L in this one?
Yeah.
Well, honestly,
I'm on.
This is kind of a cop-out, but the L belongs to everybody that's sitting there thinking that somebody gets the L on this one. The L, you know who?
Middle of the road, Sam.
You know
strikes again.
I know this. You know who gets the L? The marks. All the marks. Look, man.
Jabroni
marks who worked themselves into a shoot. And a little bit, like, towards the end, like when Che wrote that thing about the Opie and Anthony cosplayers, and he wrote a couple other things, and it was like the next day, that's when I was like, I think Che might have worked himself into a shoot. But he was definitely, at first, he was working. He decided, he chose violence. And he didn't do that because he's like, I'm going to go after Tim Dillon now. He did that because I'm going to go after Tim Dillon because it will be a battle. It will draw eyes. And it'll get a bunch of people fired up about my stand-up special. I haven't seen the stand-up special yet. I am going to watch it this weekend because he is hilarious. But I found this whole thing endlessly entertaining. And what I think that people also don't consider is the fact that, you know, with Tim Dillon making $190,000 a month on Patreon, we're literally watching two millionaire comedians bicker with each other on social media. You know what I mean? Like, not like these are two millionaire comedians that are arguing with each other.
Don't forget both sides, Patreon and Lorne Michaels, to get a little taste of that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 190. I think it's more like just 100, 120 probably.
Patreon's not taking 50%.
I don't know.
I mean, I know you don't know. Yeah, no, but you know, so what are you theorizing here, Hot Dog, that Patreon and Lorne Michaels are involved in this? Hey, I know how we can make a little more for our 10%. I don't think that's going on here.
Okay, all right.
But I will tell you that there's a lot of professional wrestling happening here. You know, and this happened, like, this is the way they do professional wrestling now. Like, the story will leak instead of people being like, you know, trying to convince fans that what's going on in the ring is necessarily 100% legitimate. What happens is a story will leak on the internet about two wrestlers that really don't like each other in real life. And then what do? They know that, I mean, it's probably at least half true, right? It's not a total made up thing. But they realize that the internet's talking about it, and so they use it, and it becomes a storyline. And people don't realize it's a storyline until way too far in. Okay? Like, this is something that, like, if Tim Dillon and Michael Che saw each other at the Comedy Cellar, they would, like,
fight.
You think they would fight? Because there's a slight possibility that they would look at each other and just start laughing.
Throw punches.
Because they're...
Claw at each other.
Yeah. That's probably...
Hey,
you're probably right.
I saw your tweet, bro.
You're probably right, yeah. No, I mean...
that shit in the DMs.
I mean, as they're going, if one of them got more in their feelings than the other, it was Che. He might have worked himself into a little bit of a shoot as this thing went on, but then he crawled out of the shoot and went right back into working. He's just trying to get out. He don't want no trouble. He's just trying to get some eyes on his Netflix special. And Tim Dillon's doing what Tim Dillon does. Fuck the man. That's the Tim Dillon model. And by the way, he's hilarious. He's real, real good at it. So God bless it, man. I hope there's comedians fighting every single week. I'll never stop talking about it. I'll never stop reading it. I think it's fantastic.
We need more beef like that.
All the beef. I'll tell you what's real beef. Scottie Pippen. Were you following Scottie Pippen's beef?
I saw the title and I was like, what the hell? What's going on with Pippen and Jordan?
Yes. Well, I mean, look, I told you that amazingly, Michael Che got beef with Tim Dillon just as Che was dropping a Netflix special that he wanted to get some eyes on. Amazingly. Well, guess what? Even though the documentary came out a year and a half ago, and the documentary was about a bunch of games that happened 20 years ago, Scottie Pippen's got beef with Jordan, and him talking about it happens to coincide directly with a brand new book you can buy today. The book is called Michael Jordan Should Suck It by Scottie Pippen. And basically, Scottie Pippen is very unhappy with the way The Last Dance came out. He thought it was not a fair portrayal. He thought, wait till you hear this, hot dog. Scottie Pippen thought that The Last Dance was going to be about the whole team.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't understand why it was just about Jordan. This is what Pippen said. Pippen is unhappy with his depiction in the ESPN Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, which aired in the spring of 2020 while the NBA was on its COVID-19 hiatus. He feels slighted. He wants to settle the scores in his book. Quote, "He couldn't have been more condescending if he tried," Pippen wrote of Jordan's role in The Last Dance, adding, "Now here I was in my mid-50s, 17 years since my final game, watching us being demeaned once again. Living through it the first time was insulting enough."
It just seems like that's how Jordan always was.
Scottie, I mean, Jordan taking credit for what Jordan did, I don't understand the problem. Scottie goes, "Michael was wrong. We didn't win 6 championships because he got on guys. We won in spite of his getting on guys." Oh, I didn't realize, Scottie, that the Bulls were able to win championships in spite of what Michael Jordan was doing, not thanks to what Michael Jordan was doing. Oh, very, very interesting. He says, "We won because we played team basketball." That's right, I forgot. It was definitely the whole team, which hadn't been the case my first 2 seasons when Doug Collins was our coach. That's what was special about playing for the Bulls, the camaraderie we established with one another. Not that we felt blessed to be on the same team with the immortal Michael Jordan, which, by the way, you want to talk about condescending. How about you don't think Michael Jordan's really immortal? You don't mean that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
If he actually thinks Michael Jordan's literally immortal?
No, if Michael Jordan was immortal.
I wouldn't be surprised by that either. But that's what I'm saying. That's not what Pippen is saying. Pippen is like, "Oh, Michael Jordan's so great. Michael Jordan's so great." He's not so great. That's what Pippen is saying.
I mean, look, I don't know about all the
Listen to this one. Listen to this. "I may go as far as to say Mike ruined basketball," Pippen said. "In the 80s on playgrounds, you'd have everyone moving the ball around, passing to help the team. That stopped in the 90s. Kids wanted to be like Mike. Well, Mike didn't want to pass, didn't want to rebound, or defend the best player. He wanted everything done for him." What the hell? This guy got to play with Michael Jordan.
The nerve.
The nerve indeed. Where is this? I forgot to full screen these clips, but wait till you hear this one specifically. This one got to me. This one was not fair. Listen to Pippen talking to SiriusXM NBA.
That is pretty remarkable what you did. Again, I'm not saying you're doing it for people to give you credit, but do you feel that not enough was made of that moment? Because there you were playing hurt in a deciding game against a great Utah Jazz team.
Here's my breakdown on that. I'm going to ask you this.
All right.
Is it easier to play with a herniated disc or to play with the flu?
They always say the worst injury to have is a bad back.
This guy.
Well, I don't see many bad. I do see flu games. Flu. Come on.
Come on. Scottie Pippen is disrespecting the flu game. That's the stuff of legend. The Michael Jordan flu game, and Scottie Pippen is going like that was nothing? Don't take the flu game away from us, Scottie. What's wrong with you? All people, I will never understand this about human beings. And I know he's just trying to sell books. Scottie Pippen is half working too. I know he's just trying to move some books, right? But especially coming off The Last Dance, even the people that didn't like Jordan because he was an asshole were ready to forgive him because we all got to witness the greatness that was Michael Jordan. All people.
Also, like, no,
Go ahead.
No one's going to enjoy The Last Dance if it was just about team camaraderie.
Nobody wants to see. No. You know what people want to see? And I took that personally. That's what people want to see.
I want to see Michael Jordan going to Las Vegas and picking up Dennis Rodman.
How can you not? Yeah. And then, I love, the internet was like, we're not having this besmirchment from Scottie Pippen. So they started digging up all these videos of Jordan, like, after big games, celebrating and thanking Scottie. And then thanking the team and not being selfish when and it's like, I'm sure that Scottie had other experiences, but I just love that they're like, no, not on my watch, bro. Not on my watch. All people want to do is appreciate Scottie Pippen. But what people want to do is appreciate Scottie Pippen within the context of their love for Michael Jordan. That's what people want to do. People want to appreciate them together. And Scottie Pippen won't allow that. Why does Scottie Pippen make it so difficult to love Scottie Pippen? Why does he? I mean, talk about needing credit. Let Michael Jordan have all the credit. If all you get is Michael Jordan's runoff credit, that's still more than anybody gets. Everybody wants to love Scottie Pippen within the context of loving Michael Jordan. Scottie,
right-hand man.
Exactly. All you have to do is allow it. Can you imagine Robin showing up and being like, Batman sucks? You know what people would say? Fuck you, Robin. They're there for Batman, okay? And Robin is a great partner. He looks fantastic in those tiny green pants. But ultimately,
Robin got a little bit of an ego and tried to go solo and became Nightwing. And
Nightwing sucks.
Nightwing? No one talks about Nightwing.
They didn't even make that movie. They teased it, and people were like, "You don't have to." Remember, Joey Gordon-Levitt shows up, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I'll be Nightwing," and people were like, "I mean, it was cool for the scene, but we don't need it.
It's over now.
Yeah,
we're done.
Just make another Batman." And they were like, "Okay, we'll make a couple more Batmans." Yeah, I mean, the idea that you can't just accept that Michael Jordan is just in a different stratosphere. And this is how I know, by the way. This is how I know that this is a bigger issue for Scottie. That this is not just, we don't understand the real Michael Jordan. Because then he said this. He was talking to GQ Sports about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, you could probably argue, is in that Jordan caliber, right? If anybody is a Jordan level quarterback, Tom Brady's in that, at least in the conversation. Is Tom Brady the Michael Jordan of football? We can at least discuss, right? I don't even like sports, and that's a discussion that I will merit. Here's what Scottie said. It's hard to place Tom Brady at the top of the NFL. No, it isn't. But Scottie thinks it is. You can't really put him at the top. I don't understand. Okay. Scottie Pippen said, even though he's won a lot of championships, there are almost 70 players on each team. So is he playing on every side of the football? Is he on kickoff? Is he on the punt returns? Because if he ain't playing all them roles, then he got to give credit to his team. That's not about Tom Brady, bro. That has nothing to do with Tom Brady or any team that Tom Brady has ever played for. That's not about the Buccaneers. That's not about the Patriots. That's not about Brady. This is about the Bulls. That quote is Michael Jordan and the Bulls all over again. He can't give Tom Brady his flowers because he's worried that he would kind of be giving Michael Jordan his flowers.
This is just how many hot takes can I fit in my media tour?
No, it's more than that, hot dog. He's got a specific thing here. Because Scottie Pippen is great on a team level, right? Everybody plays a part on a team. Scottie Pippen is great on a team level. I mean, technically it's a team sport. Everybody would be great. But Scottie, that's where Scottie Pippen's talent lies. Scottie Pippen is this amazing tool that you put in your tool belt. But by itself, you're like, the fuck am I going to do with an Allen wrench? I don't have any screws that match this Allen wrench. This is useless. But with everything else in your tool belt, maybe you could, But Michael Jordan...
I would go as far to say he's a B-plus player.
I mean, that's not what we're talking about here. Michael Jordan is a hammer. Even if you left your whole tool belt behind. If you got a hammer, and it's a hammer with, the thing on the end of it, so you can pull nails out with the other side. You could do a lot with a hammer. If something is stuck, you hit it with a hammer. It'll probably loosen up. If there's a nail coming out, you flip the hammer around, pop it right out. Tom Brady.
And break things.
Yes. Yes. Tom Brady is a hammer. A very, very valuable tool. Scottie Pippen, box cutter. At some point, it's going to be really useful to have. You couldn't have gotten the job done without that box cutter. But ultimately, when you're looking at all the nails that got hammered in, you're really fucking glad you had that hammer. And then the box cutter...
You probably could have gotten the job done with the hammer, too. The backside of the hammer. I mean... You could have, if you had to, you had to.
You don't want to say it. The lines might not have been quite so even.
No, but,
You could have made do. you could have made do. It wouldn't have looked as smooth. It wouldn't have been as perfect. But you can't hammer a nail in with a box cutter. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I get it.
And that's okay. If you're the greatest box cutter ever, just be like, look, I'm so glad I found Jordan. I'm so glad that we worked well together. I'm so glad I could compliment what he did. I'm so glad we could make history together. Here's a book about what it was like being around Michael Jordan. I'm interested. But, can you imagine how many less people would have watched that docuseries if it had been about the Bulls team? If it had been about all the Bulls instead of just Jordan?
The chemistry and the passing and just the plays.
The plays. That's what it's about, the plays. There was plenty of Bull stuff in there. Plenty. He got mad because Jordan thought he was selfish because remember Scottie Pippen was having some contract issues and wasn't showing up to games all that much in the beginning of that season. He didn't like that they showed him that way. But you know what? Kind of seems like he might be an asshole. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say for sure. I'll tell you, speaking of conflict, it's the conflict show tonight. Who the internet does think is an asshole. Christopher Teigen. Miss Chrissy Teigen. She did the unthinkable. You know what she did, hot dog?
I know what she did. This thing I got worked for.
Squid Game party. Unfathomable. You're saying you got worked? Tell me about it. What do you mean you got worked by this?
I got worked by the controversy stirrers on Twitter.
You got in your emotions?
Yeah.
They got you going? You took a side like an idiot?
Yeah, I mean, I already committed to not getting worked up for the Rittenhouse case. I have to go somewhere for this,
I mean, this is so you're sitting here going a minute ago, you were like the Rittenhouse case, you were like, is that really going to have an impact on our day-to-day lives? Let's talk about Chrissy Teigen and her Squid Game party. I'm like, well, okay.
It's baby steps,
Yeah. So were you mad at Chrissy Teigen for her Squid Games parties?
No, I'm mad at the people online who think there's such a deep meaning that mustn't be besmirched by the fact that Chrissy Teigen wants to do a cosplay of the show. Oh, so the biggest meaning that you guys can't understand in Squid Games. Capitalism bad. Ooh.
You did get worked, huh? What is it with you in Squid Game that like when we talked about Squid Game, you're like, it's not that good. Like you have some kind of weird. You're like Scottie Pippen with Michael Jordan is hot dog with Squid Games. Like you can't just like. Why do you get so upset or find some reason to be upset every time this show comes up?
Because I feel like these Korean shows are on the rage right now. And
Are on the rage.
Is that the right phrase?
On the rage?
Or all?
No, you had it right.
Rage?
On the rage.
No. But all people are crazy for these shows now, and they find one Korean show after I've been watching Korean shows for years, by the way.
I know, and all of a sudden
it's
it's
stupid enough to understand.
And now all of a sudden it's on the rage.
So the one show that's simple enough to understand, and it just gives you it just hammers you over the head with this stupid meaning, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, you gotta watch this because of it tackles wealth inequality and all of this and blah blah blah." It's fine, and you liked it because of the gore. It wasn't even that gory.
I saw 400 people get killed.
Yeah, whatever. Narcos is gorier than that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Narcos has like
special.
What?
But you don't get someone's head sawed off or something like that. You know, whatever you like for it. There's a show on Netflix that does it better.
I mean, Squid Game was a good show.
It was fine.
What Korean show are we missing that you're watching going like, oh, this is really challenging? You're not above hot dog. You're not above Squid Game.
It's a fine show,
but you're not above it. Like you're not. I mean, I know you. You're not. You're not above this.
I'm above. I'm not saying I'm above the show.
I mean, you're kind of saying you're above it, and I'm like, wait. Like, no. Like you're acting like you're not. Like. Hot dog, I don't mean to offend you, but if somebody said who's the most basic person you know, it would 100% without thinking be you. Like
apparently not, because you and Travis and Jim all love the show, and I am the only one who's standing here going, it's okay.
Yeah, but that's because you got some weird hang up. Like you don't even know. You're just shitty about it. I think it's because I truly believe it's because you think what are they calling it? There was a word for it. K-drama or something like that. Like you think
Korean drama, yeah, K-drama,
you
K-pop,
think
all that stuff.
Yeah, you think that like Korean entertainment, that you have that you were there first. Even though you weren't. I mean, you're talking about Japanese stuff, not Korean stuff. But I've
watched Korean soap operas since 2010, Sam.
You used to say that you watched anime, and then we found out you didn't watch it at all.
I never said. I said I'm a fan of some animes.
And then people found people literally asked you opinions about anime that I've heard of, and you were like, I don't know anything about that.
I heard of it.
Yeah, man, you don't know anything about any of this stuff. Like I think you had a extremely surface, basic appreciation for like some Korean show, and you thought it made you special, even though you really didn't know anything about it, but you knew more than any of us did because none of us watched it. And then Squid Game comes out, and not only do people understand it at the very base level, but they're actually invested in it. Not invested in it just because it makes them different, like you, but actually invested in the show. And then you get upset because the show that you were like a quarter invested in doesn't make you interesting anymore. That's what I think is going on.
Even if the show wasn't crazy hot like that, I would have watched it and been like, it's an okay show. It's fine. You know, nothing stood out. Could you
comment on my thesis? Do you think it's possible that I might be onto something?
The great Joe Rogan says, it's entirely possible.
It's entirely possible that Hot Dog is a douchebag. Chrissy Teigen caught it because this was her party. She had this celebrity party, and she posted about it on Instagram. Huge mistake, where she dressed up like the doll who says "red light, green light" in Squid Game, and it was a whole Squid Game themed party. She had all the Squid Games set up. She painted her house like the Squid Games. She, was making people get the shapes out of the biscuits. Oh, I'm still mad at that son of a bitch for making his friend pick Umbrella. You can't say, Hot Dog, that wasn't fucked up when he made his friend pick Umbrella, even though he knew what game it was. He was garbage, that guy. He's the same guy that stole my man's marbles. What a piece of shit.
Hey, survival of the fittest.
Yeah, and he died.
He did. Second place. But and there ain't no prizes for second place.
Second place, first loser in my book. She had a wait staff that was, because the celebrities, they have parties, they get like waiters. I've never had a party where I've had waiters. I mean, I guess when I got married, there might have been a bartender or something. But where they dressed them up like the Squid Game characters, the waiters and waitresses had the Squid Game uniforms on. And there was even, this is it. I think this is it in a nutshell. There was even a big acrylic piggy bank hanging up with what I'm sure was fake cash inside, like Squid Games.
Or real. They got it like that.
Yeah, or it could be real. Yeah, it could be John Legend's cash. And they even had celebrities there. I saw pictures. There were there were all the celebrities were less than Chrissy Teigen, but they had celebrities there, and people got upset about it, or at least this article says people got upset about it because they said, and they had tweets. There were tweets about it that said that I know it's a big deal. That said that this is everything that the villains in Squid Game were about. The Squid Game ultimately is about the haves and the have-nots. And the haves taking advantage of the desperation that the have-nots find themselves in. And the haves putting those have-nots in completely dehumanized positions and using them as pawns for their own entertainment because they are the haves and these are the have-nots. And people were saying...
What did Chrissy Teigen ever do to poor people?
I took all their cash. People are saying that, we've had this conversation before. Being rich is very not cool to young people these days. People don't like Elon Musk because he keeps getting money. But they basically said that, look, for the very, very rich to have a Squid Game party is, they accused him of being tone deaf, which is about the worst thing you can be. And I will say, look, as you're looking at this, are the optics problematic? Yeah, I guess. But
no,
you don't think the optics are problematic? You can't say the optics are problematic. The optics,
no, of course not.
Problematic.
No. You just got to look at it at first glance. Okay, it's their show. They like the show, even though it's fine. It's whatever, and they want to dress up as it. That's it. That's where it stops. There's no optics to be looked at.
Well, you don't think that this is similar to that politician? Remember when Paul Ryan was running for vice president, the Republican politician, and he said, "My favorite band is Rage Against the Machine," and everybody goes, "What are you, a fucking idiot? What the hell are you talking about? Your favorite band is Rage Against the Machine. You're literally the machine they are raging against in all the songs. There is one topic of every Rage Against the Machine song, and it's how evil you are. How can Rage Against the Machine be your favorite band?" And Paul Ryan was like, "I like the music. I don't know." You don't think that it would be similar when somebody that's so rich that they throw a party where they have a wait staff and paint their house and do all this stuff? You don't think that they're missing what's happening here?
If this party was happening if it was like a politician or like Epstein or something like that, someone who's like who's doing stuff, yeah, not someone who has a cookbook, then maybe the optics would be bad. But there's levels to it.
What makes you an elite person?
Not just being rich. It depends on what you do as well. If you're a very successful banker, that makes you that makes you an elite.
You think
you're famous?
You don't think Chrissy Teigen is influential?
Influential in a different way.
I mean, she's an influencer.
Yes, but she's not influencing stock markets or policy or anything like
Chrissy
that.
Teigen doesn't influence business?
Stock, like what her business?
Or
her
businesses
business.
that she endorses?
Oh, yeah, like magazines and cookbooks.
Why do you keep saying cookbooks? Like publishing companies don't have... Like, publishing companies are publicly traded companies. So
yeah.
Chrissy Teigen's cookbook directly affects the stock.
And how much harm can a cookbook do?
What difference does it make if it's a cookbook or a goddamn encyclopedia? Why are you so against cookbook? It's mainly pictures in those books of food.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of influence you have. It's like Jake Paul is not having any kind of change. He's not changing the world. He's a influencer and he's doing all these things, but it's not something that's like, oh, do you know what Jake Paul just did? He just changed the inflation just went up because of this person. It's not doing anything real world stuff.
Yeah. Joe Rogan?
No.
Joe Rogan is not. So Joe Rogan and Chrissy Teigen are in the same category.
I think there's levels to it. I think
you're not gonna trap me, Roberts. You're not gonna do that tonight.
You son of a bitch.
No. I know what you're doing, Roberts, and it's not gonna happen. Not to the DOGG. I'm Hot Doge. You're not gonna trick me. Look, all I'm saying is this. Well, there's a couple of things at play here. Number one, there's levels to everything, and to an extent, Hot Dog, you are right. It's not like Chrissy Teigen. It's not like Chrissy Teigen and John Legend are actually doing Squid Games. Like they're not actually having people over and making the poor fight to the death for their amusement. Like they're not doing the Squid Games. They're having a Squid Game themed party. All that said, whether it's Squid Game or anything else, I do think that there is something like gross about these big, giant parties that wealthy people will throw where they're just spending crazy money just so the house looks like a thing, or like there's a wait staff that has to dress in a costume, or just the idea that like, you're a celebrity. People want to come to your party because it's the place to be and they want to do this, and they want to make the right impression. And you make them come dressed up as Squid Games. That is so stupid. You know me, Hot Dog. If Triple H is like, Sam, we're having a party, there's literally nothing that would stop me from going to that party, right? I'd be at that party, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he were like, it's a Squid Games party, so come dressed as your favorite Squid Games, I would do it.
Yes.
And I'd be miserable. I'd be so pissed. I wouldn't want to do that. Right?
Why?
It's not fun. Cosplay isn't fun.
That's a whole different argument.
I know. It's not fun. I don't like it. And I really don't like it when somebody else is making you do it. That's when I don't like it. If you want to go to Comic-Con, dress up as your favorite, whatever. Elf. Go do that. But if somebody else is going like, well, this is going to be a big party, and to come to my party, you got to be dressed as the old man from Squid Game. It's like, fuck. I mean, I can't not go to the party, but where am I going to get one of those stupid green tracksuits? And then Spirit Halloween will be like, we got them for 75% off. They didn't come in until November 3rd. But so I think that's gross. I think the big rich parties where they, They'd go so elaborate and over the top are gross anyway. I do think that it is missing the point that they don't see the hypocrisy in a bunch of rich people throwing a Squid Game party. You know, that if Squid Game did exist, that they wouldn't be drawing numbers. Right? Like, that's the question. If Squid Game existed, Hot Dog, would the John Legend family be drawing numbers, or would they be in the glass room with all those golden masks on?
No, they'd be making bets and picking 66 because, 69 was
69. Yeah, they'd be acting really poorly in a glass room watching it. So, yeah. And also, and I think the most important point in all this is when it comes to, like, outrage on the internet and people going after you and everything, sometimes you live by the sword, you die by the sword, okay? Like,
Ooh.
when a bunch of wrestling fans are booing me, I can't sit there and be like, this is out of line, this shouldn't be happening, because this is the world I've chosen. If a bunch of comedians are making fun of me, I can't be like, guys, you shouldn't be making fun of me. This is out of line. Because that's the world that I've chosen. Because I'll participate in those activities when it's not me. So when it happens to me, I can't be that upset. If you participate on one side of this kind of outrage thing, the outrage cycle, and then it cycles back around and lands on you, you can't be mad when that happens to you. You fed that beast. If you're feeding that beast, you can't be mad when you watch it grow and eat you. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Chrissy Teigen has had plenty of instances where she's let everybody know when she feels that something ain't right, when she feels that somebody ain't right, when she feels that we need to go after somebody. There's plenty of instances of that. So, if she wants to keep being public on the internet after she's had, like, hey, this is wrong. When people see her doing something wrong, live by the sword, die by the sword. Let's go. Let's go. That's where I'm at with it. And also, I mean, I think my Paul Ryan Rage Against the Machine comparison was right on.
Wise words, Sam.
You don't think it's right on because apparently it's only for politicians.
Politicians and
bankers.
People who take advantage of children, yeah.
Oh, well, we don't want to go down that road. Look, there's only one rule to Sam Roberts now. Super chat. Every super chat gets read here tonight. Hey, it's not a rule, but I'd appreciate some likes over here. I'm watching the like count. I can see the view count. We know we can do better on that like meter. So go ahead, hit like, and let me read these super chats as they come in. I see you guys lighting up the chat right now. So go ahead. And yes, Hot Dog, you want to try to do this on Thanksgiving Eve? Are you around?
Thanksgiving Eve. Is that this week?
That's this, yeah, Wednesday.
Wow. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm game.
Okay. Probably. Still tentative. You never know. By the way, little update. I see you guys are here. Sopranos Prima Volta. A couple people have asked. I said something on Instagram or something. No episode this week because Ian Fidance made like big pussy and he hurt his back. So he's in Puerto Rico getting it straightened out right now. But we are reference. Yeah, see? But we are planning on getting back together early this coming week. So hopefully there will be a new episode of Sopranos Prima Volta with Ian Fidance this coming Thursday. So there wasn't one this week. Hopefully next week the show will be back. We'll be able to film again. I also didn't want to do it over Zoom. I figured it wouldn't be nearly as fun over Zoom. But if you haven't seen those shows, definitely check them out. Go over to the channel, and the first 3 are there. Fourth one should be out on Thursday. What I did do this week, though, is Nicole Ryan from the Morning Mashup. She came over to the Not Sam studio, and we broke down the entire season 3 of You on Netflix. I know I said that was just my show for me. I'm not, but like Nicole's obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with Nicole. She's obsessed with me. I was like, let's put all these parts together and do a show. I understand a lot of you guys that watch this are not sitting there watching you on Netflix. I understand. I'm not sitting there delusionally thinking like, I know what my people want. You review. I understand sometimes you do this stuff for yourself. This one was for me. However, I do think you guys will enjoy the show. I do think if you go over after this show and you watch that, you'll just enjoy it for the camaraderie and back and forth between myself and Nicole. So check that out. I think you'll like it. Okay, let's get to these super chats. Again, every super chat gets read. Dana Quigley, one of my favorites. This super chat is for the Hot Dog Taint Fund, supporting the channel. Sammy, woot. One for the taint, hot dog. One for the taint.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Nathan Gerald, will Sammy Ghost Muffins be in Ghostbusters 4? I'm planning on supplying a picture for it. I don't know what picture yet, but Sam Banks, name of the store you got that shirt from. I get all my movie shirts generally from Rucking Fountain. They're on Instagram. They put shirts out for very limited time. Like they do pre-orders. They put shirts out for like 3 days, and then that's it. They're never out again. And but they take like months to ship because, you know, it's all pre-order and then made to order. But they're fantastic, and I have a ton of them. So you probably see me in shirts that look kind of like this all the time. Movie shirts, the Japanese writing on it. Rucking Fountain is the brand. Eamon B, 100% proceed to hot dog. All right, and that's Canadian, so that's good money. Zach, the Independent reported Rittenhouse was found not guilty from killing 3 black men. Getting my news from Not Sam News Network ain't so bad. Yeah, that's incorrect. He killed, I believe he only killed 2, and they were white. He shot 3 men. They were white. Phew. And that would be not true. Jordan Williams, how is Pete Davidson famous? I'll tell you, his Joe Rogan impression stinks, but Pete Davidson's hilarious. He did the after show, even before he did O&A or anything like that. I had him on way back, and he told a story about driving Mike Bichetti home from a comedy club and driving him to his house. And when they pulled up to the house, Mike Bichetti realized that he had forgotten he had moved. So he had to go to a different house. And then Pete Davidson asked him, well, where is your new house? And Mike Bichetti responded, it's by the gas station. So I don't know what gas station, but Pete Davidson has gone from hanging out with Mike Bichetti to hanging out with Kim Kardashian. Like how crazy is that? It's real easy to hate on Pete Davidson. So easy. But like honestly, when I see that dude with Ariana Grande, with Kate Beckinsale, people forget about that one. Now with this morning, I was looking at a picture they posted of Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian, and you know what I thought to myself? You go, boy. You go. It made me happy.
And she was wearing Yeezys. That treacherous woman.
Treacherous woman. But you know what? Pete Davidson is packing. And you know
he made her go to Staten Island.
He made her go to Staten Island. Look, he's living the dream that we all would love to. So, you know, kind of a weirdo goofball, but hilarious, and I don't know.
And he has to be packing.
And he's packing. He's hella packing. You see how big his hands are?
Yeah, there's got to be something going on.
Big, yeah. Jordan says, how's Pete Davidson famous? Sam is more handsome than him now, not before. Let that sink in. And Sam is funnier than him, but Kim Kardashian would never sleep with Sam. Go Sam. I mean, I'd like to think if I got famous, I could get Kim Kardashian. What do you think, Hot Dog?
I'd like to think that.
Okay.
Yeah, you could think that.
All right. Just in case, I'm going to throw that into Google Translate real quick. See if it's something I can repeat or not. I forgot. I don't use Google, so I don't know how to translate on DuckDuckGo.
What? You don't use Google anymore?
No, I haven't used Google in a very long time. No.
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah. I haven't used Google in a long time. You probably save your passwords on Apple's iPhone app too, right?
Oh my God.
Fuck that. Fuck that. No, long time ago. I switched the fuck out of that. Ben Goulet. Tim Dillon needs to be protected at all costs. # fake business. Yeah, that's another thing that I get happy about. I love seeing the success of Tim Dillon. So funny, man. Not Sam Lehman. The SNL writers' room is as in touch as the judge from the Rittenhouse case. Bazinga! Ooh! Brat! Did you hear Homicide saying that on the wrestling podcast? That's how he starts and ends conversations.
And it kind of makes you a little bit cooler by association.
I appreciate you saying that. I thought so too. Let's tell Kim Kardashian I know Homicide.
Yeah.
And Nick Gage. Philip Chamberlain. Pete Davidson has butthole eyes. Pooper chat. Pooper chat instead of super chat. I like it. Brian Lindenmuth. Schultz is right. Shea attacked Dillon to get more eyes on his Netflix special. Schultz probably got that theory from me. Reed Rothschild. Norm said jokes should not be predictable. SNL is predictable. Update can be funny, but that is an anomaly compared to the rest of the show. That's not wrong. There are many shows that Update is by far the funniest part of the show because they're actually jokes. And I feel like Che and Jost are not always just playing to the crowd. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's always something that the crowd goes, ooh. And like you can tell that Che and Jost are enjoying the fact that nobody laughed at it. Dana Quigley, watch SNL or Hot Dog's Grundle surgery. Give me Doge's Grundle for $500, Alex. I'd like to take a look at that too. They give you video?
I wish I could ask for that. I like possessed.
Christopher Strickland, need a new outro. I'll taint you later. I'll taint with you later. Big J21, Sammy Richard Dreyfuss muffins. Let's go, Brandon. It's a very funny joke Jim had this week. Jordan Williams, bad day for President House Plant. It's not a nice name. Lost the Rittenhouse narrative and got a camera up the butt. Can't wait to hear Jim's take on Monday. And then he says, Mark Norman is a great comedian. Unfortunately, he used to open for Amy Schumer, and according to Kevin Brennan, Seinfeld sucks. Yeah, I didn't necessarily line up with Kevin Brennan on his Seinfeld take. And also, I don't know that Mark Norman opening for Amy Schumer would affect his level of comedy. Reed Rothschild, Sam, you ask what professional wrestling does for you. I believe the answer is dropping a load. 2 muscular men in their undies. Who can blame them? I appreciate that.
2 big sweaty men.
Jordan, Scottie is butthurt that his... Oh, this is Scottie Pippen, that his ex-wife Larissa is all over TMZ for hooking up with more NBA players than the Kardashian. Man, Scottie Pippen didn't have bad luck. He wouldn't have no luck at all. Just kidding. He played with Jordan. Pinky Schultz, Sam, wasn't your last renewal like 2 days before? Stop fucking about. When you know you are going to be renewed and it really will be a time. Yes. And that's what's, that always happens. However, the problem has not been that, like, historically, it's just a lot of feet dragging. This time, it's serious going, here's a deal, and us going, are you serious right now? And starting there, and you know, it's a different thing. Reed Rothschild, only a matter of time till Hot Dog, a.k.a. Pippen, writes a book ripping his MJ, a.k.a. Sammy Brand Muffins. Probably be me.
Give me a 7, Mike.
It'd probably be me going like, everybody thought Hot Dog was so funny, but he wouldn't have been funny if I wasn't setting him up. I gave him a platform. Philip Chamberlain, please do a rewatch of Hot Dog and Angie in studio. That would probably be really uncomfortable for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't. No, I'm not.
How funny would that be if I just did like if I made you come back to the studio and you sat in here and then we put it on the screen and watched it together.
Yeah, and then you just stop every 2 seconds.
What were you-
So what were you thinking about here?
What were you thinking right there? That would be great.
That's-
That's good content. Alex Stoll says, "Let's go, Brandon. Cheers, Sammy Brand muffins." People get so pissed at that "Let's go, Brandon" thing. So pissed.
I don't, just let them do it. They'll get tired.
Yeah, right? Reed Rothschild, didn't Christopher have a meltdown and quit social media? Oh, Christopher Teigen. Didn't Christopher Teigen have a meltdown recently and quit social media? Now she's back. I don't care about the party, but hate her. That's the other thing. Like, I think that is in play here. People are like, I mean, normally I wouldn't have a problem with it, but fuck her. That could be going on here. Not Sam Lehman. Hot Dog has such hipster rage. I feel secondhand embarrassed for him. That's
hipster rage. I told you why the show is not that deep.
Hipster rage. I mean, I get what he's saying about hipster rage. It's like, you don't even understand this band. I was listening to him. It'd be like if I was sitting there and everybody who liked Kanye when like Pablo came out, I was like, you weren't there when the College Dropout came out. You weren't listening to his track. You know, he's a producer on The Blueprint. You weren't listening to those songs. This album's alright.
All great points.
Brian Lindenmuth, tain't no reason Hot Dog should be this worked up about nonsense. Well, his taint's all worked out, so that's probably
worked
what.
Up about something.
Yeah. Rob Thompson, good evening, Sam. Good evening, Hot Dog. I've tried to come up with anything to say today, so get well, Hot Dog. We'll go with that. Great show, of course. Rob Thompson.
Thank you.
Let's keep an eye on those Gray 11s that are coming out for Christmas this year. Sal, I'm glad you chimed in, Sal. Von Dutch doc on Hulu. Worth a watch? We will definitely be doing I haven't even seen it yet, and I already know we're going to be doing a Von Dutch recap show because I didn't even know there was like murder and drugs associated with the Von Dutch brand. But just the fact that there's controversy around this douchebag brand, like they're doing a Von Dutch documentary is a must watch for me and a must recap on the YouTube channel. Affliction, must watch, must recap immediately. Like, tell me there's an Affliction documentary coming out. I'm watching it. I'm doing it. True Religion Genes. You tell me there's a documentary on the rise and fall of True Religion Genes. We're watching it. We're documenting it. We're recapping it. I love that shit.
Put that on a shirt.
Watch it, document it, recap it. Von Dutch. Oh, give me some Ed Hardy. You put Ed Hardy on a documentary, watching it, documenting it, recapping it. Every time. Look at all, I mean, you should see these notes, Hot Dog. These are my
nuts.
These nuts. These are my U season 3 notes. You see them? They're crazy. Okay.
Good Lord.
I don't-
Episode by episode?
Yeah, it's episode by episode. Yes. Six Crow. Sam, I'm worried about the SiriusXM contract and how you will feed 2 kids, so I hereby relinquish my superstar shill status and move to Hall of Fame level. My guy.
Woo!
My guy. And by the way, should we re-sign at Sirius? Stay at Hall of Fame level. Why not? My kids still got to eat. Bowley Fan 1. Ian's analogy calling Davey the Scorpion is so ironic, as Tony literally says he's like a scorpion an episode later. Dude, it's hilarious. Did you see Ian Fidance? First of all, he told the scorpion and the frog story completely wrong. Do you know the scorpion and the frog? Yeah.
I don't know the story, but I'm
the whole point of the scorpion, and I love that the whole point of the scorpion and the frog story is that the scorpion drowns with the frog. So the story, because it's in his name. Like, why would you drown us both?
Not afterwards.
No, afterward, anybody would do. Why? No, of course not. The story is supposed to go that there's a frog and a scorpion, and the scorpion goes, "Yo, I have to get across this lake," and the frog goes, "Tough titties." Like, okay. And the scorpion goes, let me ride on your back. And the frog goes, why would I let you ride on my back? You're going to sting me and kill me. And then the scorpion goes, no, I'm not. Because if I sting you and kill you, it'll kill us both. We'll drown in a lake. And the frog goes, that's a great point, Scorpion. Scorpion jumps on the frog's back. They jump. They get to the middle of the lake. Scorpion stings the shit out of the frog. The frog's like, what the fuck did you do that for? Now we're both going to drown. And the scorpion goes, I'm a scorpion. It's just my nature. That's the story. So the idea is that, like, yes, every time you're going to get stung by the scorpion, even if you're both going to die, every time, the scorpion will not sting you to save himself because it is too ingrained in the scorpion's nature to sting you. So the idea is that even if Tony wants to not take advantage of his friend, he's going to take advantage of his friend.
Also, it doesn't make sense for the frog to be shocked that the scorpion stung him after they made it to the other
Like,
side.
of course he's, like, yeah. Yeah, did he think he would just be grateful? And then, even with Ian's understanding that the scorpion, it really doesn't, no, of course it doesn't. It makes no sense that the scorpion, because the scorpion doesn't lose anything after. The point is that he does it at the cost of himself. And then even with the wrong understanding of the thing, Ian goes, Tony is the frog. And I'm like, what show are you watching? Alex Stoll. Happy Thanksgiving, boys. Hope Jim and Sam get re-upped. I'll tell you this, Alex. Me too. Ernie, how do you take your chicken cheesesteak from Jersey Mike's? Straight up. Just how they make it. Cheese, onions, peppers. I used to fuck around and try to get it custom made. They know what they're doing. The only thing I'll do at a Jersey, I like my chicken cheesesteak. I'll get it straight up the way they do it. I get the buffalo chicken sandwich, the buffalo chicken cheesesteak. I'll get that without blue cheese dressing on it. I get it with just the cheese, the buffalo sauce, the lettuce, and tomato. No blue cheese dressing. But yeah, the chicken cheesesteak straight up. And then Paw Grad, long overdue support for the Not Sam content empire. Hit up Jersey Mike's. You know it. You know it. I'm trying to get this studio sponsored.
That'd be great.
It doesn't just have
a lot of black room in that on that desk. Just stamp a little sticker on it.
I'm trying to get somebody to like come in, you know. I'm saying the Not Sam neon sign can be replaced by another neon sign.
You could also follow Travis Scott's and like BTS with like McDonald's and get your own specialty bag.
And last thing I'm going to do right now, Hot Dog, I'm really in a position where I'm trying to build. Last thing I'm going to do is come on this show and say that I'm trying to follow Travis Scott's example. Okay? That man is $750 million in debt right now. Okay?
Oh, boy.
You talking about Travis Rittenhouse Scott? No, not for me. Okay? No. I don't want anything to do with it right now. I got a lot of really nice sneakers that I can't wear for the time being. Luckily,
you can pass thumbs up.
Kanye's not doing his Trump stuff. I can go back to the Yeezys, wait a little while. The Travis Scotts are not in storage. They're just on ice for a minute.
Fashion comes and goes.
I'm kind of hoping that those new ones, the Travis Scott fragments, kind of hoping that those dip while all this controversy is happening. I'll grab them now. Controversy dies down. Astroworld comes back. I got some heat on my feet again. That's kind of the plan right now.
Astroworld.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan right now.
Okay.
I'll watch Astroworld in the metaverse, though. I'm not trying to go. Tell me when it's back on Fortnite. You know what I mean?
You're not sneaking the wild ones in?
No.
You're not the wild one?
No, I'm not. No. I'm going to Survivor Series this weekend, though. I'll tell you that.
What if Vince McMahon tweeted, we sneaking the wild ones in?
Then I'm going. We're going. We're about this. Then I'm about that life. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Everything Suspect. Thank you, Nick S. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You didn't hit like when I asked you guys to hit like. Come on, guys.
Hit likes, you fucks.
Yeah, exactly. Hit the like button. Do me that favor. Subscribe. Watch all the videos. Watch the thing we did with Nicole. We will probably, in all likelihood, be back on Wednesday night for a Sam Roberts Now, where we will either do Tiger King or Von Dutch or Rocky IV or whatever the hell else happens. We never even got to do Love on the Spectrum. We got so much to do. We're going to have to make some time to do it. And don't forget, even with all this going on, I'm going to cheers with you later. We'll see you next week or Wednesday or whenever.